Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Laura Parings. I'm the Director of Programs and Education at Rare Book School, or RBS. And I'm joined by Andrew.
Yes, and I'm Andrew Rivard Hill, the admissions officer. We're glad to be here to tell you about the M.C. Lang Fellowship in Book History, Bibliography, and Humanities Teaching with historical sources, and to discuss the application process for the 2026 cohort of fellows.
So we're going to begin with an overview of the fellowship program. We'll share some tips about the application process, and feel free to ask questions in the chat as we go along. When we get to the end of the presentation, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A, and we will cover the questions that came in through the registration form as well. So to start with a bit of an overview and some background about the fellowship. The fellowship is funded by an individual named Mr. Michael C. Lang, who, as an undergraduate, went to a smaller liberal arts school, and he had something of a profound experience with the special collections and the librarians there at his institution, and found that his experiences as an undergraduate really shaped his love of books, his love of learning humanities for the rest of his life. He's now a collector, bibliophile, and he has funded this program so that we at Rare Book School can help to provide some training and funding opportunities for professors and librarians, archivists, etc., at similar small library, small special collections. I keep trying to, no, small liberal arts schools. There we go. Liberal arts schools and universities who are working primarily with undergraduates to help them to have that same impact to spark curiosity with the undergraduates under their tutelage. So, in Mr. Lang's words, the Lang Fellows can take their newly acquired teaching tactics, techniques, and strategies back to their institutions and undermine a serious side effect experienced by many of the undergraduate screen addicted. A misplaced belief that physical books and other material sources are nothing but cumbersome, transparent, and outdated containers of the texts that they convey. He knows that the fellows will individually and collectively reinforce the useful value of primary materials in academic study. And so the hope is that the fellows will, through their passionate enthusiasm, instill in at least some of their students a sensitivity to the pleasure of associating with physical books, a pleasure which may very well enhance the lives of those students long after they have left the academic world. It isn't going to be a surprise to anyone here, I expect, to hear that the humanities have been declining in higher education. In recent years, only 6% of undergraduates at Harvard University reported pursuing a humanities degree. Even for students who aren't going to change their majors, it's still vital for students to have access to original historical documents, books, realia, archives, photographs, film, etc., that are housed in special collections, libraries, and archives. Getting the students to experience curiosity, exploration, and discovery with their own interests, supported by these materials, can be a formative process that will serve them well for the rest of their lives. And so the goal of this fellowship is to help create the conditions of possibility for such students to experience these materials, that curiosity, reanimating the humanities teaching. The fellowship equips educators, and that means professors, libraries, archivists, and other staff members who might be working in a field like DH, for instance, with the skills to enlarge their students' historical sensibilities through bibliographically informed instruction with original historical sources. In particular, as I mentioned, it's the humanities teaching at liberal arts colleges that we are seeking to support with this fellowship. So you are all here now, or have found the recording of this talk, because you are passionate about what you do, and you have ideas for incorporating book history and bibliography into your teaching and outreach. And this fellowship is here to provide training and funding to make those ideas a reality. We want to inculcate wonder in the students. And to do that, the fellows are given tools and the tips of the trade to build a bookish community at their institutions by collaborating with colleagues, building foundational structures at their schools, and working with the students.
So you might ask, what does the fellowship include? So I can tell you that the fellowship includes tuition waivers for two rare book school courses, one course in each year of this two-year program. And the fellowship also includes an annual stipend of $1,500 for travel, housing, food, course, books, and expenses incurred by the fellows related to the course. Each year there are 10 fellows, so each cohort is 10 fellows. Additionally, there are matching funds of up to $1,000 available in each year of the fellowship program. And each year after taking the first year course, the fellows may request $1,000 from the Lang Fellowship Fund that will be matched by funds from the fellows' home institution. And these funds will be used to build the book historical community at the home institution, and they can be used to purchase materials for a teaching collection, for exhibition vitrines, for running a speaker series, symposium, whatever it is that is going to best serve the community at your home institution. Projects may be undertaken with other Lang Fellows as well, whether those other fellows are in your cohort or the year before or the year after, whether they are at your school or if they're at a nearby school. If you would like to work on a project together, you are encouraged to do so.
So, as I mentioned, a key component of the Lang Fellowship is to build community. But it's not just about building the community it's not just about building community at individual institutions and among the undergraduates. It's also about community amongst the fellows, so that within each cohort in particular, that there's a community of support, of inspiration, so that the fellows can learn from each other, that they can share what they've been doing, suggest resources, bounce ideas, collaborate. And so that's one of the reasons why the cohort needs to take that first course all together so that they get to meet, they can work on things together under Michael Suarez's guidance as the instructor for that course. Um, there's a lot of discussion about how to build out a course. There's ideas for hands-on experiences, how to engage students while they're viewing and handling the materials, things like that. So, and even after you move on to taking the second course and you're doing more individual projects at your home institutions, we hope that the cohort, and we also have a listserv for members of every cohort to communicate that it can still be an opportunity for people to be sharing ideas and learning from each other. And so now Andrew is going to talk about some of the course requirements.
So as you'll see in the image here, Michael Suarez teaching one of his courses. And so the first course that you are required to take as a Lang Fellow is called H-165, Book History, Bibliography, and Humanities Teaching. And the fellows must be able to take this course during the set week in their first year. So the first year for the 2026 cohort will be summer 7th through 12th June 2026. And you are guaranteed admission, and this course is open only to Lang Fellows. And then the second course in your second year of the two-year program is an elective. So you choose from the offerings that RBS has for that particular year. You can take an equivalent of one full-length class, similar to H-165 in terms of the length, or you can take two short online courses, depending on where your interests are. And the only stipulation for the second course is that you cannot take H90 or H90V, which is the online version of the class teaching the history of the book, because the content in this class, H90, um, overlaps quite a bit with the content in H165. So it wouldn't serve you so well to take the same course again.
All right. And so the multiplier effect. It's important to the selection committee as they are reviewing the applications to be hearing about your plans for how you're going to share what you've learned in the classroom at Rare Book School with the classroom that you're going to be engaging with at your home institution. So it's part of our main goal at Rare Book School that what you learn is going to be shared. And so it is something that you should be thinking about describing in your application materials. I think we need the next slide. And so with our students, our fellows, I should say, in past years, one of those fellows had some wonderful quotes about their experience with the class, that first H165 course. Watching Michael Suarez teach in special collections, as we've seen in the photograph here, with rare books helped give me new ideas as to how I might approach teaching with special collection materials in both similar and different ways. Always a good thing. I also appreciated that Suarez emphasized collaboration as part of the Lang Fellowship between faculty and librarians across campus, etc. The conversation on how we will transform historical culture on our campus with the matching funds gave me ideas on both projects, both of those matching fund projects, for oops, there we go, for how to spend the money and how to approach as partners collaborators. Sorry, I had the chat option popped up and I couldn't see the bottom of the quote. So thinking through how that collaborative nature, the multiplier effect, how to impact the students, but also how to impact and build that network so that you're creating a community of bookish learning, book historical community on your campus so that it's forming networks with fellow instructors, fellow librarians, the archivists, people working in DH, whatever the resources are, the people who are keen to be helping out somebody working in a book lab, great resource. So finding ways to create those connections and provide the best opportunities for learning and engagement for the students.
Great. So we did this just in. We had a question in the chat from Tim about courses. So Tim was asking if there are courses only in Charlottesville, but so we have the majority of our classes do indeed take place in Charlottesville, but we also have a good amount of courses offered at our remote institutions or partner institutions, as we call them. So depending on the year, last year there were courses running in Princeton. We had, for the first time, classes in Oxford. So just depending on the year, there definitely are options to take courses at partner institutions, which is a great perk, I would say, not only of the Lang Fellowship, but at Rare Book School. So
The first course, the H165, does always run in Charlottesville, though. So that one you can count on needing to travel to Charlottesville.
exactly, and making more good memories at Monticello, perhaps. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. Um,
Yeah, so the eligibility requirements, they're listed on our website, so you can find that information again if you need to, but we've taken a nice screenshot of that section to cover here. So it's open to full-time tenured faculty, to full-time tenured track faculty who have passed the third year review, or to full-time library and curatorial staff members. And I will say again, kind of past that equivalent of a third year review. So if it's your first year at an organization, you're not going to have as strong of an application in the view of the selection committee as somebody who's been there for a little bit longer to have built up those networks already to help make the vision a reality. And so these professors, librarians, professionals need to be at liberal arts colleges and small universities. We give the 5,000 student, undergrad student benchmark as a guidepost. We have, on occasion, made exceptions for people who are at slightly larger institutions. So if you have a question about the size of the undergraduate body at your institution, please do just send an email and we can review that and let you know whether you would fall into the eligibility requirements. And so that institution does need to be based in the United States. There are a few other eligibility requirements that we'll cover here. So the individuals can't be employed to be eligible. You can't be employed at a university that awards earned doctorates in humanities fields. There's kind of the gray area of like, does an education PhD count? And we don't count that actually as a humanities PhD. So if you're at an institution where there's a pharmacy doctorate program, you're still eligible. If there's the one where like the only degree that is awarded is an English PhD, that's unfortunately not going to be eligible for the fellowship. And so then also anybody who's taken 3 or more rare book school classes. If you've taken 2, you're fine. If it's 3 or more, then you're not eligible for this fellowship program, as well as anyone who's already taken that Teaching the History of the Book H90 class. Again, as Andrew said, because it's so similar to that first Lang Fellowship course. Probably not relevant for anybody here, but just to be clear, any past or present members of the RBS full-time staff are also ineligible.
Absolutely. So now that you're interested and persuaded to apply for the Lang Fellowship, I can take you through the nitty-gritty of how to apply. Can be a lot of information. So when you do start applying, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you along the way. If you've used our system before, you'll be familiar with how it works. But for those of you who are new to the process, um, the first thing you'll do is you'll go to rarebookschool.org, our website, and then as it's highlighted here with this red circle, you click on My RBS, and it will take you to this page here where you enter in your email and your password. If you have an existing account, if you do not have an existing account, then first-time users click on Need an Account, and then you set it up. And after you set it up, you can come back to this page, fill in your information, the email and the password, and you can apply that way. Um, so once you have your all your credentials set, your email and your password, you're in here. Your name will appear up here in the upper right. And there's a lot of information on this particular page, on the landing page. So you will need to scroll down. So then once you scroll down, you'll come to the scholarships and fellowships applications. To be clear, the Lang Fellowship is a fellowship. We do have scholarships, but this one is specifically a fellowship. And so you see there it is at the bottom of the list, MC Lang Fellowship. You click here to submit your application. The deadline is December 7th this year by midnight. We can reiterate that as well. And then so you will click here to apply for the Lang Fellowship. Some of you may recognize, oh, this looks like Interfolio. You are correct. It is Interfolio. So you click on the blue button there if you've ever used Interfolio before. It is Interfolio. The deadline is listed up there, December 7th, 2025 at midnight. And so click on Apply Now on the blue button. And yet again, another more credentials. So however you sign into Interfolio, if you already have an account, you can sign in through Google. You can sign in with partner institution, whatever's the easiest way to get you into the system. If you do not have an account, then you can create one and then come back to this page and get into or get access to Interfolio that way. One issue that may come up is that they may ask you to pay money. Please don't. It should be free. So if that happens, let us know. And we can, figure out how to get you into Interfolio without having to pay any sort of fee. Um, so that's there. And then once you log in to your account in Interfolio, you will see this opportunity for the MC Lang Fellowship. And so there are 6 documents required. Here you'll see a CV, 4 essay questions. The questions are listed there and also on our website. And then also one confidential letter of recommendation or evaluation. So Interfolio allows you, the applicant, to send the letter of recommendation anonymously. So that's the overview of how you would apply for the Lang Fellowship. Again, if you need any help along the way, I'm here to help you. So email me, and I'm happy to help you.
All right. So as Andrew walked you through, we will have the curriculum vitae. There's the confidential letter of recommendation and the 4 essays. The first thing that you'll have as a step is to fill in 2 brief forms, one about contact information and one just to confirm your eligibility. Yes, no answers to questions of the nature of your institution. And so those 4 essays, we have the questions listed here, and we recommend a 1 page maximum single space for each of those essays. If you spill over a little bit onto the second page, it is not going to be held against you. And so you'll see that there might be opportunities for some overlap in answers and discussions for each of those essays. That's all right. It's kind of by design to make sure that we get a full set of answers for each of those 4 areas for the selection committee to consider. And so do give them the full weight. This is the most important piece, as you might expect, that the committee is going to be considering in evaluating your application next to the others. So, why do you want to be part of the MC Lang Fellowship? Is the first essay question. The second is what interests you most about participating in Rare Book School courses. And so this is an opportunity you could mention if there's a particular class or a couple of classes that you might really want to take as your elective, and why you are interested in it and thinking through how it would tie into your plans for your projects at your home institution. Third one is describe your experiences of and commitment to education for undergraduates. How does working in a liberal arts environment contribute to your efficacy? And the fourth, how might you work with others to help create an educational culture of book historical humanities teaching with original sources? This does not mean that you have to start listing out exact names and departments of your colleagues. It's fine if you have that already set to go, but it's more giving the committee a sense that you understand how you're going to approach creating the networks and building that community. So not just going it alone, but trying to create that community at the institution.
Absolutely. So part of the application materials includes a letter of recommendation, one letter of recommendation. And so it should be written by a colleague who can speak to your suitability for the Lang Fellowship, your teaching, your outreach, impact potential, dedication to teaching with primary sources, bibliography, book history, and inculcating wonder. One piece of advice that we offer is to ask yourself the question, which recommender can give most recent, salient, and specific examples of your teaching with undergraduates, as well as your real and potential contributions to the hands-on study of the book. So it's a question we're thinking about and being able to answer, most recent, salient, and specific examples to help the committee see why you would be a good fit for the Lang Fellowship. Um, every time I see this slide, I see the paper making, and I haven't seen that in person yet. So that's what I think
Well,
about.
We'll make
which
it happen, Andrew.
it can happen. I know this next summer.
All right, so a helpful piece of advice. I have previously served and will continue in future to serve on the selection committee. And so one of the things that has come up a few times on applications that could easily have been made stronger. Uh, the committee is looking for more information about how you're going to use what you learn with the undergraduates. It is wonderful and good if it also supports your research, conference papers, lectures, etc. But what the committee is most interested in reading about is how you're going to use it in the classroom. So keep that in mind.
All right. And you may be wondering, asking, what is the experience like for Lang Fellows? So we have a little slide here. Obviously, it's one slide. There are many different experiences. So here, the Lang Fellow writes that the course H165, that's the first course, the one that Michael Suarez teaches. And the person says that the course demonstrated through the exercises and object lessons how creatively as well as deliberately one can teach. While I was hopeful that the class would be terrific, I had not anticipated how eye-opening it would be, a regenerative experience that will have ramifications well beyond my teaching in book history. Um, and then you also may ask, as an applicant to the Lang Fellowship, what are the other projects that the fellows have done? So this is a list. Don't feel limited to this list. If you have a different idea outside of these, that's great. But here are some of the more popular ones that we've seen um, over the over the last few years. So one is a book historical panel discussion. One's faculty learning community, so leading workshops or reading groups, a transcribathon and speaker series, then also speaker workshop series. That's been one of the most popular projects. And then the acquisition of materials for teaching collections. I was telling Laura earlier, I enjoy reading the matching fund requests and seeing the specific, whether it's a medieval, manuscript or if it's, something completely different. It's a pleasure to read what the Lang Fellows are able to add to their collections to help them teach their undergrads, at their institutions.
And knowing that those collections materials also get used by other instructors, that it's there for the
Mm,
common good of the university. And we've seen a lot of our fellows purchasing what's called the Book Beetle,
mm,
which is designed and produced by Joseph Berry, who is based here in Charlottesville. And it's a tabletop common press, basically. And he has created this wonderful tool along with sets of type and other accoutrement for using the press in the classroom so that you don't have to create an entire printing office space. You can
mhm,
have things that are a bit more portable and effective in spaces if you don't have access to a common press or a Washington press or an Albion or whatever the case may be that you're looking for, a Vandercook. And you can still have that used in so many different ways. So we've heard from fellows who've done workshops where there might be a whole class that, is using that at particular times or kind of cross campus open house kind of events. Yeah, it's been really great to see all the different innovative ideas that we've seen coming in from the fellows. And so I think I may have skipped one little piece and that there's a nice little tie in there. Um, the community of the fellows as they carry on. I think I mentioned that there is that listserv for the fellows moving forward. So this is for all of the fellows from every cohort. People can opt out, of course, if they decide that there are too many messages going on. But it's a great way if you're thinking, hey, is the book Beetle a good way to go? You can have a chat with people who have used it before, or if you want to be thinking about what kind of vitrine should I be looking to buy for this exhibition space, things like that, where you can share that knowledge with your fellow fellows. So if you have any questions beyond today's session that we have not answered, please feel free to direct those questions to rbs_lang at virginia.edu. Messages sent there will reach me. They will reach Andrew as the administrator of the program. They will reach Michael Suarez. So somebody will get back to you with a thorough response. And now I think we can shift to a Q&A. So if you want to add to the chat or if you want to unmute and ask the questions live, you're welcome to. And we also have a couple from the registration forms. George, did I see a hand raised or was that a, okay. All right. So, well, maybe, Tim.
Well, maybe I have one question. I was wondering, I guess it's a two-part question. Like, how important is it what our school, already has in its special collection? So, like in my application, should I talk about things that I could imagine doing with the collections that are already at my school?
Yes, absolutely. And it's good to have a sense of what kind of resources are there, what the fellowship might be able to help with. So yes, if there are specific things and you have that as a tool that you can draw on, that's a wonderful thing to highlight. All right. One of the questions that came in the registration form was, I'd love to know how specific I should be about interests from my colleagues to incorporate book history into their courses. And so I would say that it is, to expand on what I'd said earlier, it's good to have a sense of whether there is already kind of fertile soil for this kind of work at your institution. You don't have to be very specific about, and Bob Jones is going to be working on this, and Krista Smith is going to be working on this specifically, but a general idea that you have people who are already interested in working with you on this or working together, not just with you, more collectively, and what that might look like in the future, especially if impacted by the Lang Fellowship. There was also a question about um, being curious to hear how book labs, paper making, letterpress printing, binding, etc., might fit into the initiatives the fellowships could fund. So we've talked about that a little bit already. Andrew, was there anything that you wanted to share based on what you've been hearing from the fellows and their projects?
I mean, this is a great question. All of those would be welcome initiatives, welcome projects for the Lang matching funds. Um, Absolutely. So yeah, paper making, the letterpress printing for definitely with the book beetle. That's been very popular, as Laura was saying, with the Lang Fellows to be able to, if there's not common press or something like that at their institution, then the Lang Fellowship can help them to purchase the book beetle to give the students an opportunity to have hands-on experience with what it's like to, be a printer in a print shop. So,
Mhm. And had we had very many paper making exercises? I feel like I've maybe read one or two.
yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head. But I mean, we have a rare book school course, that is paper making or, paper as bibliographical evidence. So it's definitely that's the exactly what the fellowship is designed to support. Um, but yeah, I mean, there have been workshops where, paper making, takes place as, part of a couple of day workshop, 2 day workshop, or so yes, please. Um,
Hands-on is always good.
mm,
All right, any other questions from the group?
I think Jonathan asked a question in the chat.
Oh, yes, I do see.
I
All
can
right.
I can read it. Yeah, what kinds of materials can be included in a project? Books, published materials, handwritten materials, other materials, newsletters, flyers, buttons, etc. Um, so Jonathan works with archives at a local organization, but much of it is not formally published. Um, I would say, I mean, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, you're on the committee making the decision, but yeah, I mean, all of those look, seem perfectly like feasible, objects of study for a Lang fellow. So it would just be, we have these objects. What is it that, that you're teaching the undergrads, or like what are they doing with the objects would be other questions to think about when writing the application materials for the Lang Fellowship.
Yeah, and requesting funds to purchase some of those materials makes very good sense. Yeah, it's the that wonder might be sparked with engaging with old, let's say, recordings of oral history interviews, and making sure that you have the materials, the equipment to play the original recordings, things like that, would totally be within the realm of possibility here and appropriate for the project. People are interested in working with ephemera. Um, we had somebody who was buying something like city directories or something at one point. And so it was, there's whatever it is that supports the type of education that's going on in that organization, that institution, fair game. So, and sometimes having that combination of things like, I don't know, election buttons, and newsletters, flyers for punk rock band concerts and learning how that was printed mimeographed or whatever. So it can all be very valuable teaching tools.
Thank you, Jonathan, for that question.
Thank you.
One of the other questions from the registration form was whether this fellowship is offered every year. Yes, the fellowship has been endowed, and so it will be continuing for a good long while. So it will be offered every year. And so if this year doesn't work out, if those dates for H165 don't work with your schedule, and again, that's 7 through 12 June of 26 in Charlottesville, then certainly do consider applying again in the future. So some things that people have asked in the past are things like, what is it like coming to Rare Book School? And so we can talk a little bit about that while maybe some thoughts are percolating, just in case another question arises. So for Rare Book School, let's talk about the in-person classes first and foremost, because that's what the first class experience would be for the H165 class. So coming into Charlottesville, our team, the programs team, works hard to make sure that we have accommodations available. So we have room blocks available at different hotels with a discounted rate. We also make dormitory spaces available depending on the week. After reunions for UVA have wrapped up, then the historical lawn rooms, they're outside the rotunda, the original part of the academical village, become available for our students. They are now air conditioned, I will mention. So they're a bit more comfortable. And a lot of people love staying there. And we also have rooms in a much more modern, 4-year-old building with apartment style suites where there's 4 individual rooms, each with their own door lock and 2 full baths that get shared, a little kitchenette, a seating area, a common area. That's about a 10-minute, 15-minute walk from the library. And so the dorms are pretty much guaranteed to be your cheapest option. They are a little Spartan. You're not going to have a comfy armchair and a reading lamp and a rug or a mini fridge, but it's perfectly adequate for getting through the week for most people. And we kick off with a Sunday opening reception. So registration can take place there. Michael Suarez will give um, uh, his inspiring welcome talk, kind of giving the rally cry of this is why we're here, this is why it's important to do what we do. And food, drink, camaraderie, get to meet your classmates, get to meet people in other classes, because we usually run about 4 or 5, usually 5 in the same week. And then we encourage people to go out to have dinner together on the corner, which is what we call the section across from the university. There's a lot of restaurants and shops along there, so within easy walking distance. And then Monday morning, bright and early, everybody arrives by 8:20. We will send people off to their classrooms. We provide breakfast every morning. And then, so it's hour and a half long class sessions throughout the day, 4 sessions, Monday through Thursday. Friday's a little bit different. With breaks in between, we'll provide food for the morning and afternoon breaks, as well as coffee, water, sodas, juice, whatever, and then lunch. Everybody's on their own to head back over to the corner or wherever you are interested in heading to get some food. I do recommend going with your classmates if you can, because you do make wonderful connections with people that way. And we have lectures then during the week as well. So there's usually at least one every, I think, I don't remember the last time we didn't have one in the week, but Monday and Wednesday is often our lecture days. Those are now live streamed as well, but attending in person to hear somebody speaking on a bibliographical or book historical topic. It's great fun. There's a reception afterwards. And then Thursday, another optional fun thing is bookseller night. So we work with some of the booksellers, antiquarian and used, who are in the area to make sure that they're open on Thursday evening. So everybody heads down to the downtown mall and peruses, has dinner together, and a good time. Friday, after the lunch, there's a slightly longer than usual third period. And then the day ends, course evaluations get filled out, and then the party begins to end the week. And we also sell a lot of RBS swag, so you can get mugs and t-shirts and aprons and tote bags and whatnot. So we like to have opportunities for everybody to get to know each other and talk with each other about what they're up to, how they're studying things, etc. So that's one of those key connection moments. Similar at the remote courses, slightly different schedule in some places. Some places start a little bit later. Some places have to end a little bit earlier because they have timed vaults and things like that. And the remote, rather the online classes, depending on the length, of course, meet synchronously online. For in the summer sessions, it's all within 1 week still. And we have fall and winter courses that are often spread out a little bit more. So it might be 1 or 2 days a week for a couple of hours over several weeks.
I had a question. When do the class lists like usually come out like for the year so you know what's going to be offered?
We are actually about to announce the first sort of batch of things that we've confirmed for classes for next summer. It's usually in early November. So, or November. It keeps sliding. So, but we should have everything announced in December at the latest this year. So, just working on a couple of we have some new classes coming online, so we're taking the time to make sure that we've got all of our plans set for those as we announce them. And that's new online classes and a few new partner institutions coming online. So it should be an exciting year in 2026 for that. But that's the usual timing for the summer schedule is sort of November, early December, getting that set. Course applications for the summer open in early January. And so you will want to make sure that you have your course application in by February 17th, right, Andrew? Our first round?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so the first round deadline, even if you get the fellowship and you have guaranteed admission, we still like to have it in a timely fashion. And we do ask that you do submit a full personal statement application for the course, because it helps Michael Suarez to plan out what he's going to cover in the class to make sure that it's as relevant as possible for the cohort. And in January, as I think we mentioned, that's when the selection committee will contact the applicants to let them know if they've been selected or if they were not selected this year. But we encourage people to apply again if they are not chosen in a particular year. We have had people where things have just been really competitive and it was just inched out. And so that person sometimes has been awarded the fellowship in a second year.
Thanks for your question, Diane.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, George.
I do have a question this time. And I understand if you can't quite answer this, but is there a sort of suggested balance in the application essays between kind of talking about past teaching activities in the sort of the history of the book or this kind of area and future plans, sort of what one would aspire to do with the Lang Fellowship?
That's a great question. I would say it's good to make clear that if you've had that experience, that you make that clear to the selection committee. But I would lean more towards describing what you're interested in doing moving forward, as the sort of, this is what I could do with the Lang Fellowship. All right. So I was never very good at, and when I taught classes, at the whole waiting, letting people think before they asked questions. So any other thoughts? Curious points?
I was taught to wait 10 seconds, the 10-second rule. I don't know what everyone else was taught, but like wait 10. And then I guess after that, that's it. Yeah.
I know you said the video is going to be available later. Will the PowerPoint be available as a separate file or just watch through the video to get it?
We have not shared the files separately for the slideshow, but if you particularly want the slideshow separately, we could email that along.
Thank you.
Okay. We will make a note. There's Andrew. He's writing the note.
Note.
All right. Well, it was wonderful to see all of you here this evening. Thank you for joining us. Again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out at rbs_lang@virginia.edu. The deadline, 7 December, it's a Sunday by midnight. The letters of recommendation, just if you find out that the letter is going to be a little bit delayed, just let us know that we should expect it coming in. We can expand things by about a week for that to arrive. I know it's sometimes a busy season after the Thanksgiving break and before the end of the semester. So, okay.
Lovely to see you all.
Hope to see some applications from you. Take care.